You're listening to Comic Reflections, episode 269. I'm your host, Nicholas Prom.
And I'm Spencer Valadez.
Comic Reflections is brought to you by The Outhouse. You can find our show and other nifty content at theouthousers.com. And if you enjoy this program, please subscribe to us on either iTunes or Stitcher.
You can also rate and review us on either of those platforms.
Yes. And now, if you so desire, and please say yes, you can give us your money by visiting patreon.com/comicreflections.
Yeah.
And for as little as $1 a month, you can really help us continue to produce the content that you enjoy.
Yeah, and it helps get us more out there more. And
stuff.
Yeah, it helps with our advertising a little bit. Not advertising.
It's another area where we're out on the internet.
Yeah.
I don't think it really helps grow the base exactly. It's for our fans.
Right.
To like, hey, if you dig us, right? How about a little dope, baby?
Yeah.
You know? We're going to keep doing this show regardless, but,
yeah.
We do put time and effort into creating this content. And wouldn't it be nice to have a little something? It costs us money to do this.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. All the buying all the comics.
Yeah.
I gotta pay for the hosting and then the
promoting.
The promoting is time that I do, but the hosting of the files themselves and stuff like that costs me money. The storage, I gotta pay for a Dropbox. I gotta pay for the hosting on the Podcast Garden.
Yeah.
For our RSS feed. Yeah. There is a fee for that. Yeah. But yeah. Anywho. We're gonna talk about Arak, Son of Thunder, number 5, cover dated January of 1982, and according to Mike's Amazing World of Comics, it went on sale on or around October 8th, 1981. Cover art, penciled by Ernie Colon, and inked by Dick Giordano. Take a look at this cover, Spencer.
Yeah. It's a joust with the brother of Angelica.
Yeah, I can never remember this guy's name.
He's a tool. And with a lance, and Arak with a sword.
Yeah.
And his axe.
Yeah.
Not good jousting weapons.
No, but...
And why Angelica is standing in the middle of the arena doesn't seem fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks like a kind of the classic tournament of knights that a king will put on.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So the story in this issue is called Tournament of Titans.
That's right. And
it was written by Roy Thomas, penciled by Ernie Colon, and inked by Rodin Rodriguez.
Yeah.
We open.
Yeah. We open with
Malajiji and Arak
standing on a pentagram.
Hey, that's fun.
Yeah. How far removed are we from the code at this point? Are we removed from the code?
Wait a minute. This is a Comics Code approved book. However, the Comics Code Authority relaxed in, I think it was 71 or 72.
Okay.
So the major restrictions, the most stringent restrictions have been relaxed or removed.
Gotcha. Okay.
You can have a hell or a damn. You can have death. You can have monsters and the occult.
Okay.
You can't have... I think it's really you just can't have like nudity and cursing at this point. I've only read the original code language.
Uh-huh.
I have not read the revised.
Gotcha, okay.
So I don't know exactly what the restrictions are.
Yeah.
But especially now, by this time, the direct to market is introduced, comic shops. It's like... And there's so much stuff that's at least being distributed through the direct market. This is a DC book, so it also enjoys newsstand distribution.
Right.
But there's so much direct market stuff that would have never have passed the code in either iteration.
Right.
And it was just being distributed and whatever. So at this point, the code for the 1980s, the code doesn't really matter that much.
Right. Okay. Yeah, because I bring that up because when I was reading it, I for some reason actually noticed the code approval.
The seal.
Yeah. And then going through it, I'm like, there's demons and hell? And I'm like, what is this?
Right.
So yeah.
Well, it's 1981. I mean...
Right. I just didn't realize kind of what time period we were in with the code.
Right.
Yeah.
In case you're wondering, you can look at the indicia on the inside front cover.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're kind of standing on a pentagram, and
just having a good old time.
Right. Malagigi's doing some magic, and Arak's wondering how is this going to help me warn Carolus Magnus about Angelica? What are we what's going on? And Malagigi basically
why is it taking them been there 3 issues and he hasn't been able to talk to him?
Yeah. And so basically Malagigi says, your brain can't comprehend what we're going to be doing. And Arak's like, fine. And he starts to walk away. But as he's doing so, Malagigi finishes his incantation.
Yeah.
And
they talk to Beelzebub.
Yeah. This guy is rad.
He's your favorite demon, right?
Yeah.
Okay, here's the thing. He's got a monster head with horns and stuff.
Yeah.
Long fangs. Then his chest, eyes on the nipples, nose in the sternum, mouth in the belly with teeth and monster face.
Yeah.
And basically where his pubes would be, a beard.
A beard, yeah.
So, okay, that's kind of gross. Pube beard.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was not expecting that because I was reading a code-approved book when I was
right. Well, remember, what was it, issue 2 or 3, where there was the sex with a demon?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
that was pretty whoa, what?
Yeah.
But at this time you can do that, I guess.
So Arak and Malagigi are on this disc thing that is
pentagram disc.
The pentagram disc, yeah. And they're flying around, and Malagigi is taunting this demon,
Beelzebub,
and the demon's making oh, I'm gonna kill you this time, and Malagi's like, nah, and they fly directly into the belly mouth.
Yeah. And of course he's Beelzebub's laughing the whole time.
I'm gonna devour you.
This is some crazy stuff.
Right. And it's basically to find out information about Angelica.
Yeah.
And at one point Malagigi slips, or it might be Arak, slips, and he dashes the chalk line on the pentagram.
Yeah, and you don't want to break the circle because then demons can grab you and do
demon
evil
hands
stuff
will grab you. Malagigi almost falls off.
Okay, there are severed hands that float around and grab him.
Right, yeah.
Which is really messed up looking.
Yeah. Quick aside, I've been watching the show Ash vs. the Evil Dead.
Yeah.
And it's excellent.
Is it?
But his evil hand has returned.
Oh, the one he had to cut off?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It is so campy and great that I can't even... Yeah, it's great. But yes, the severed hand reminded me of this. Malagigi almost falls off the pentagram disc. Arak saves him. And then they have to fight the demon a little bit. I don't think they actually flew out of him at any point. But then his head is back, and Arak kind of has to fight him while Malagigi replaces the line.
Redraws part of it.
Yeah. And Malagi's like, ha, we're escaping. And they escape, and it's like a flash, and they're back just exactly where they started.
So it all turned out it was a trick he pulled to get Beelzebub to write spells or something in Malagigi's spell book.
Right.
Can I borrow a cup of sugar? Hey, can you write some evil magic stuff down?
Yeah.
Great.
Belphegor. That was his name.
Oh, was it Belphegor?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Our
demonology is
a little weak. Thank you. That's exactly where I was going with that. Thank you. Oh, boy, I am rusty.
Yeah. But yeah, it turned an invisible hand is writing in flames on. Yeah. And then they kind of bring. They're still deciding on what evidence to bring to the court, Carolus Magnus' court.
Man, let me tell you, all this at court stuff is boring.
Yeah. We find out that Angelica's father, or the king of where she's from, has their kind of castle is under siege, and by the Moors.
Yeah.
And
too bad it's not under siege with Steven Seagal.
Yeah.
No, I actually didn't see that
punching. And she is coming to Carolus Magnus's court to steal his knights.
Okay.
And bring them back to serve her king to break the siege.
All right.
Yeah. And it takes 4 or 5 pages to explain that.
Ugh.
Yeah.
You know, I love Roy Thomas, but he does overwrite, especially at DC in the 80s. Now, I don't mind it in All-Star Squadron or the two other related books that he did at that time, but because we're talking about Golden Age heroes and you need fleshing out.
Right.
And it's stuff that was very simple stories back in the 40s. However, this is a bit much.
Right. And I was when I started picking these books up, I was hoping for a lot more just kind of hack and slash.
Let me tell you something. I did look forward, and like Jeff and I did a couple episodes on Arak. We did. I think we covered somewhere around 6 or 8 issues, and they were just rando issues, starting with issue number 6.
Okay.
And that one I remember being rad.
Okay.
So.
And maybe this is just kind of the ramp up.
I feel like it's kind of slow going early in the series, which is kind of like the opposite of how you want to go. You want to hook people with radness first.
Yeah.
And then you can afford to do slow burn because people are hooked on these characters.
Right, yeah.
And the slow burn at the beginning is like, look, this is a comic book.
Mm-hmm.
Don't write comics like this.
Yeah. So we go from 3.
And I say that with huge admiration for Roy Thomas.
Right. Yeah.
And I love his Conan. His Conan is like perfect.
Yeah. There's like a good balance between.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Arak is not Conan.
No.
And yeah.
So we kind of go from 3 pages of explanation.
Yeah.
To about 2 pages of Arak reflecting.
Oh yeah, on his origins.
Yeah.
Oh good, we're doing this already again.
So this is what, book 5?
Mm-hmm.
And this is the 5th time we've gotten his origin story in 5 issues.
Is it?
Yeah. They've done it every issue so far.
Gosh. I mean, I know you gotta kind of make some reference to it, but jeez.
Right, but not a full page. He can say, hey, I need to get back at Angelica for what she did to my clan.
Man.
Boom. Done. But the next page, a lot more fun. Chapter 2, The Witch Within.
Yeah. So, and I've noticed with this book, there will be like an opening kind of section of the book, and then we'll get into the real thing.
Right.
But the opening salvo of story really drags, man. Even we had Belphegor, and it was still like, come on.
Yeah. Yes. So we open to a double-page spread.
Yeah.
Of a joust, the yearly coming together of knights performing before their king, doing their thing, and we start to get an idea of how Angelica is actually going to steal these knights, and it for a couple pages emphasizes the honor system that comes with being a knight and jousting, and how if a visitor comes, they will be held in high respect, and that if anyone acts against these visitors, the king will throw them in jail, basically, or at worst kill them, because you have to house these people and treat them like they're your family when they're, but in doing so, Angelica shows up with her brother.
Yeah. And
so they can't just attack her and kill her because she is now with her brother, who is a knight, participating in this tournament. Yeah. So she challenges a knight. She says, your best knight fights my brother. If he is defeated, we'll leave.
Okay.
If he isn't, I get to take your knight back with me.
Well, okay. And all the knights are like, hey, maybe if I go with them, I'll get to put the wood to her, so they want to go.
Right. But only Arak and Malagigi realize what she's kind of doing.
Yeah.
She wants Arak. Another guy kind of steps up, and they joust. Mm-hmm. And he loses. Who was it? It was Ronaldo.
Yeah, Ronaldo we decided is a good guy.
Yeah, he fought Arak in that previous story.
Mm-hmm. In the last issue, yeah.
Right. And he loses. And so he is part of Angelica's kind of mini court now.
Yeah.
And so
the guy, her brother, used magic,
right?
Cheated, but he says, "I don't know what you're talking about." When Arak's like, "Dude, he totally used magic."
Yeah. And so only Arak and Malagigi saw it, but Malagigi's not letting on because he doesn't want to upset the king.
Right. He's got a plan.
Yeah. And so Angelica takes Ronaldo away, and he kind of has to swear fealty to her. To protect her and her brother. So Arak and Malagigi, like, he pulls Malagigi aside. He's like, "What are we going to do? We have to save this guy." Malagigi agrees, and they go to, and they sneak up on Angelica.
In her camp or whatever.
Right. Which he's made camp next to this weird death portal thing.
Of Merlin's.
Yeah. Not many people go near it. There's this, like, negative energy about it. People stay away.
Yeah.
And that took a page to explain. But they're just kind of watching, and they're waiting for a time to surprise.
I think Arak's plan is they were going to steal her ring of power, maybe kill them.
Right. She fakes sleep. She wakes up as soon as Malagigi picks up the ring. Mm-hmm. She gets it back. There's a fight that ensues.
She has a couple of eunuch guards who are real beefy.
Yeah. Arak dispenses of them pretty quickly.
Yeah, there's some blood splatter. It's good.
But then, kind of, Ronaldo comes in. Mm-hmm. And Malagigi is beset by demons that were hiding underneath the bed.
Yeah, gross.
And so he's kind of distracted, and we're just kind of like Arak is taken down by one of the beasts as well, and he refuses to fight Ronaldo. He basically says, "I'm not fighting you. You don't fight me. Fight back against what's happening to you." And Ronaldo's like, demons, you know.
Yeah.
And we're left with Arak sprawled on the floor.
Yeah.
And kind of kicked out of the tent into the woods. And that's how this issue ends.
Yeah.
It's kind of a cliffhanger. We don't know what's happening to Ronaldo or Malagigi.
Probably bad stuff, but we'll find out next issue.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that in about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Overall, I'm really hoping the series starts picking up steam because I am bored.
Yeah.
And I love sword and sorcery, but this is just not really lighting my fire, baby.
I was hoping this would really kind of get me into that sword and sorcery. Like, this would be my gateway.
No, you got to read Conan, man.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a quick promotional break, and when we come back, we'll talk about another Silver Age Green Lantern.
Yeah.
Stick around.
Stop and listen! Stop and listen to me! Listen! Listen! Listen to me! They're not human! Everyone! They're here already! You're next!
November 4th, 1988. Earth is invaded by an alien alliance composed of several species, including the Dominators, the Khunds, the Tanagarians, and the Durlans. And they want our superheroes. Even though Australia has been decimated, the United Nations response is unequivocal. Drop dead. First Strike, the Invasion podcast, takes you back to that moment in time and covers the entire Invasion DC Comics crossover. Issue by issue, tie-in by tie-in. Join Bass and Siskoid at fireandwaterpodcast.com or on iTunes. First Strike, the Invasion podcast, a proud member of the Fire and Water Podcast Network. Remember, Albert.
Trekker Talk, a fan podcast devoted to the adventures of 23rd century bounty hunter Mercy St. Clair from the pages of Trekker Comics by creator, writer, and artist Ron Randall. I'm Darren.
And I'm Ruth. We'll be discussing the stories, characters, and art in this excellent retro sci-fi adventure series, as well as having side conversations about other areas of fandom.
We hope you will join us as we travel from the dangerous back streets of New Guelph to the depths of outer space and everywhere in between.
Trekker Talk is available at podbean.com and on iTunes and Stitcher.
Find us at trekkertalk.com.
And we're back. Now, Spencer, before we get talking about this issue, I want to do, I forgot to do it at the top of the show, I need to do a little correction on something that Jeff and I talked about on, I think it was episode 267, our most recent Iron Man episode. We got talking a little bit about, on a segue about the movies, just in general.
Right.
And I said that the guy who played Happy Hogan in the Iron Man movies is played by the same guy who played Foggy Nelson in the Daredevil movie.
Oh, no.
No, that is true.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, they're the same person. However, I said that was Kevin Feige, the head of Marvel Studios, which is not true. That is actor Jon Favreau, and I don't know how I put that all together and thought that was all one guy, but I did.
Huh.
So,
well, how dare you make a mistake?
I know, right? It's like I'm a human or something. Can't let anyone know I'm mortal.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a goof. It was brought up to me by a listener.
Oh, nice.
And, oops. So I wanted to make that correction.
Yeah, good call.
Yes. So this issue of Green Lantern, boy, sucks. But, well, let's talk about it anyway. I am not going to be impartial about this.
Yeah.
This is just a drag. This is Green Lantern number 62, cover dated July of 1968, and according to Mike's Amazing World of Comics, it went on sale on or around May 28th, 1968. The cover art penciled and inked by Jack Sparling. Now, Jack Sparling, Jeff actually really likes Jack Sparling, and this cover is fine, although Jack Sparling, his art is not terribly conducive to superheroes. He really works well in the realm of science fiction or the weird tales type of stuff.
Okay.
I think that's where his stuff kind of works best.
Yeah.
But he did the cover of this. Do you want to talk about that cover? What's going on here?
I will say, as soon as I saw this cover, I got nervous.
Explain.
Because Green Lantern is fighting 4 guys in suits and ties. And that really never bodes well when it comes to a Green Lantern story.
Well, because we have a cosmic superhero, and it's boring for him to fight common criminals.
Yeah.
Really boring. As an opening interlude to a much better story with a supervillain or something with science fiction elements.
Right. So
that's fine, but yeah.
So we have this...
I gotta give credits for the story first.
Oh, yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. This story is called Steal Small, Rob Big, and it was written by Gardner Fox, penciled by Jack Sparling, and inked by Sid Green.
I forgot that title. It's not even a good title.
No, it sucks. But Sparling, his pencils are kind of loose, but then Sid Green's inks are pretty heavy and rounded off, and so it's an interesting combination. In a lot of spots, it looks like Sid Green did the whole thing, but then I'll look at certain poses and figures, and I'm like, oh, that's very Jack Sparling. So, an interesting combination, not one that I'm like, I love this. No.
Right.
Also, this is 1968, and there's a historical significance here, okay? Because in 1967, a number of artists and writers who worked for DC went to their bosses and asked for health benefits and pensions and things like that.
Right. And
they were turned down and fired. One of those persons was Gardner Fox. John Broome was another, and there were other individuals. But it kind of marks the end, really, of DC's Silver Age as we tend to think of it. Right. That event. Obviously, the Silver Age goes on for a few more years, but DC has a weird period in the late 60s where it's finding its feet with newer a younger, creative people, but with the older, stodgier management. So it's just kind of a weird time for the company.
Yeah.
And really, this would go on in some way or another. This kind of vibe of this unsteadiness of DC throughout much of the 70s. In a way, the 70s at DC start in 1968. But what I want, the reason I brought that up is this is 1968. Those guys were gone. I believe that this and many of the other stories that we're going to talk about in the rest of this volume, this show, because we're going to showcase Presents Green Lantern Volume 4. I believe many of the stories in the rest of this volume by Gardner Fox or John Broome are inventory stories. And Julie Schwartz, I believe, probably reworked them to fit the current what's happening in Hal Jordan's life.
Right.
And if these really do feel like rejected scripts where they just kind of like, all right, just use it.
Yeah.
And this story really, I just thought was just Dollsville.
Yeah.
But let's talk about it.
Yeah, so we start off with a hand. We don't get the full view.
Yeah, the camera angle is just of hands on stuff. Very Italian cinema. Or film noir.
Looking through jewelry boxes, stealing a shoe, stealing a button off a guy at gunpoint.
Man.
And we don't really get much from that until we turn over and we find out that at the offices of the Evergreen Insurance Company, the boss man is frustrated that Hal Jordan isn't at work. And that he needs to report in because there's been this kind of
rash of weird robberies.
Right. And then panel over, we have a beautiful young woman waiting by the phone, waiting for Hal Jordan to call.
Yeah.
And we get this look into where Hal Jordan's been, flying back to Earth from space mission. I really want that space mission after this.
Yeah.
This.
Me too.
Issue.
I think that's way more interesting.
So much like he goes, and even as he's flying into the atmosphere, his ring is losing power.
Yeah.
So he had a good 24 hours or so.
Yeah, wouldn't it be great if we could have heard about that?
Yeah, and he kind of has enough momentum to make it into his bedroom. Sweet. And if you look closely, there is a jewelry box from the store with a gold necklace. It's supposed to be gold on it that he plans on giving to this beautiful young woman. He does the lantern oath. He recharges his ring, gets all dressed up, gets his tie on and grabs the locket to surprise Eve, the beautiful young woman.
Eve is the gal he's dating at this point.
Yeah. And he marches into the office of the chief, the insurance guy, and the guy,
I can't even remember his name. These supporting characters are so boring. I don't care about them.
He works for an insurance company.
Yeah.
The hell? I'm sorry.
Next issue, filing paperwork. Da-da-da.
Right?
It's so boring.
He gets told about the robberies. He says he'll take the case. He calls Eve. They meet up. They kiss. And then he kind of takes her out to the Heart to Heart Club. It's her favorite place. He gives her the locket, and they are immediately beset by robbers.
Yeah.
Well-dressed, suited robbers. They knock out Hal Jordan because he can't use his ring or it'll reveal his secret identity.
Yeah.
And they steal the locket and a pen. And so he drops off Eve,
who's wearing a ridiculous hat.
Yeah.
It's this huge bowler.
Yeah. I don't know. I was actually hoping not to mention it because it's so dumb looking.
Yeah, sorry.
He drops Eve off. He takes off, and he's like, I need to follow the ring, or I'm going to use my ring to follow the locket. Can't use the locket because it's gold. It's yellow. Can't.
Dang it.
Yeah, and so he's like, I'll search out the pen. And then the pen, there's so many like it that he can't get a good lock on it.
Man. Sucks, doesn't it?
Yeah. Kind of the second part of the story. Green Lantern heads back into the office. He gets a bit yelled at by Mr. Lawford. A big crime wave. He shows in the papers. So he decides, I got to do something about this. And I'm going to do it as Green Lantern. There's been another robbery. We'll figure it out. And so he goes to the house of Eve.
Yeah.
And he kind of wraps it in an alarm system. And so when the robbers come through, they break the alarm. It sets off. He goes, and he, after they have robbed, after they've committed the crime, instead of preventing the crime, he waits till they leave the building and then wraps them in ring energy.
Yeah.
But then the yellow lights of the car are shined on him, and he can't do anything. I'm gonna say bullcrap.
Yeah. Shallow, a light?
No.
You could have stopped Green Lantern with a flashlight if this was the thing.
Yeah.
Which, no, you can't.
Yeah.
I can buy, like, anything painted yellow.
Yeah.
But no.
Suddenly, the night erupts in a
because
blaze
if that
of
was the
golden light.
case, the yellow sun of the earth would cripple Green Lantern. He wouldn't be able to use his power.
Right. You're absolutely right. So he loses his power.
I learned that from Superman.
You did learn that from Superman.
Yeah.
He loses his power, and he's worried about getting shot, so he jumps out of the way.
Yeah.
And he takes off his ring and he throws it because he can control it with his mind.
Up to 100 yards away.
Up to 100 yards away.
Okay. Oh, so it's out of the path of the beam, or the light beam, and then he can...
Yeah. So he melts the guns.
And then he punches these guys.
Yeah.
Why didn't you fly the ring back and, like, do anything else?
I don't know.
Because I get how they used it as an excuse so Gil Kane could draw him punching everybody.
That's not...
But Jack Sparling? Come on, dude.
I'm even tired of Green Lantern punching guys with Gil Kane drawing it.
Yeah.
Because he has all the power in the universe with his ring.
Yeah.
According to this storyline.
Yeah. Oh,
and
man,
he
you gotta...
punches people.
What you gotta see, though, is you want to see Gil Kane draw guys punching people. Read the... It's only, I think, 2 issues, I think, of Gil Kane, or it's right around that amount. Gil Kane drawing Hawk and Dove.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, because Hawk is a dick, and he just punches everybody.
Superman punching guys makes sense.
Batman, anybody.
Green Lantern doesn't make sense for him to punch guys.
Unless he makes a giant green fist and, like...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But, yeah, I think...
But also it would be lame if he just, like, floated in the air, like, legs crossed,
Right. I know
and just, like, casually, walloping people.
Be in the action, but...
Yeah.
And so he takes the guys out by jumping on a branch and kicking them.
Of course.
And he flies away, but then they shine the light on him again, and he falls out of the sky. And he lands on one of the guys. And while he does that, the other guys get away in the car.
Well, that's good.
He wraps them up, and he pops the tires on the car, and then drags them in before the judge. And the only thing that I found really interesting about this issue is this one panel where he's talking to the judge. He mentions that he's just going to use his ring to make them tell the truth.
Yeah.
And the judge says, "Hold it, Green Lantern. You can't force these men to testify against themselves. It'd be a violation of their constitutional rights. Besides, they're entitled to advice of counsel." Good judge. And then Green Lantern...
Like a fascist says...
Yeah, that's the way it goes these days. Bullcrap.
Whoa, what?
Yeah.
You don't believe in due process? You don't deserve to be a Green Lantern.
Absolutely. Yes.
When I read that, I too was outraged.
Yeah. I was reading this in bed the other night, and I looked at my wife and went, "Heather, listen to this." And she doesn't care about comics.
Right.
I'll be honest. And she's like,
Yeah, that's horrible.
Right. He's supposed to be this universal police force, and he doesn't believe in due process.
Yeah, or the rights of the accused.
Right.
granted, yeah, he caught them red-handed.
Yeah.
They still deserve a fair trial.
Absolutely.
Because, like, okay, Green Lantern, well, how come you don't just summarily execute these guys?
Exactly. Yeah.
If their lives obviously mean nothing.
Right.
Like, I mean, what a scumbag thing to say.
Absolutely.
And what that attitude, man, Hal Jordan for Trump.
Right.
Man. Anyway.
Anyways, so that's the last piece of this comic that I thought about when I was reading.
Ugh. Yeah, and the rest of it's just a hard slog of who gives a crap.
It really is.
Ugh.
We get how they're doing what they're doing. It's called the chronolometer.
Which is ridiculous sounding.
And what they take the pieces that they've stolen, the little knickknacks,
Yeah,
and they put them in the chronological or chronologometer, and dumb name, and it projects an image of like what happened in the last few hours in front of that object.
so that why you could rob them more gooder? I don't.
Yeah.
Like, if you were able to break into their house, why didn't you just steal their valuables then?
Right. Well, but it gave them the ability to like know the combination to the lock of the super potion or whatever
This is really flimsy, man.
Yeah.
And I hate it.
And the one thing that's another thing a little bit interesting, they figure out who Green Lantern is.
Yeah, how they deduce that is pretty interesting.
Yeah,
Talk about that.
They see Hal Jordan. They're using the chronolometer on the locket, and they see Hal Jordan or Green Lantern fly into the window, and then they see him come back dressed as Hal Jordan. And they're like, "Hey, that's the same guy. Hey, we know that guy. He's the insurance guy at the Evergreen Insurance Company." Yeah. So they call the Evergreen Insurance Company, and they're like, "Hey, come down to our place. We wanted appraised." Okay, I'll come down there. They're waiting for him. They pull guns on him, and they're like, "Hey, we know who you are. We should just kill you." And they're like, "No, I'm not I'm not Green Lantern."
Yeah, what are you talking about?
And so they lock him up, and they decide, well, if you're not Green Lantern will come and rescue or like stop us from robbing whatever or the house or whatever.
And then complicated getting out of it ensues, and so
he has his ring invisible, as he does when he's Hal Jordan.
Yeah,
he melts the handcuffs, knocks out the guys. When the other one comes to,
then disguises himself as one of them.
One of the bad guys.
Disguises one of them as him.
Yeah.
And then implants false memories in them.
Right. Which, if isn't illegal, it should be.
It's the ethics are really the word I'm looking for is not coming, but
you're right.
Bad?
Yeah.
He really troubling stuff in this issue.
Yeah. He captures the guys, he takes them to jail, and he heads back to where he was captured. And the guy had asked for a sandwich, so he makes a couple roast beef sandwiches. He can't control the mustard. Oh,
ham on rye.
Oh, that's right, ham on rye. Which
is not kosher.
He can't use mustard with his ring. Like he can't make mustard with his ring
because it's yellow.
So he has to do it by hand.
That's funny. I missed that detail.
Yeah, he then brings them in, and there's a big hoopla. One guy gets away. He plucks him out of a moving car, like a speeding car.
Yeah, and shattered his spinal column.
Right, and then meets back up with Eve, and gives her the necklace back.
And then they're like, I love you.
Yeah. I'm grateful to Green Lantern, of course, but my heart belongs to you, Hal Jordan. Which ties it back to why he's left Ferris Air.
Yeah.
Because he couldn't get the loan.
How I long for the days of Crazy Carol and Pie Face.
Right.
At this point.
Oh, I miss Pie Face.
I do too. Pie is good.
Yeah.
Good Tom. Is it Kalmaku or Kalmaku? How do you say it?
I don't know.
How do you think?
What would say the first one again?
Kalmaku?
That's how I would say it.
Or Kalmaku. Yeah, Kalmaku, I guess. Yeah, but Thomas Kalmaku is a good guy.
Yeah.
So that's this issue and the end of this episode.
Yeah.
You
have anything else?
No, I just want to go home. God, what a crap issue that is. Comic Reflections is recorded in Portland, Oregon, and produced by Sean Roof.
He's just the worst kind of people.
Man, he's not bad. Anyway, until next time. Yeah.
Until next time.
So which is the hottest Marvel character?
Iron Man.
Ant-Man. I can't decide between Professor X and Magneto, so both.
Loki.
Is Wolverine Marvel?
What about White Tiger?
What about White Tiger?
Doc Samson?
Doc who?
Star Fox?
That's a video game.
The girls go on a journey to determine every Marvel character's hotness in Ohatmu or Not, the official handbook of the Marvel Universe podcast you didn't know you wanted. Available on iTunes and at fireandwaterpodcast.com.
I'm Mike Gillis.
And I'm Casey Dorn, and we want to ask you an important question.
Are you sick and tired of other panel discussion shows wasting your time droning on and on about foreign policy, economics, and human rights?
Or do you want to hear conversations about things that actually matter?
We host a podcast called Radio versus the Martians. Every month we gather a panel of our nation's finest minds and plunge a rusty prison shank into the heart of tough questions that have an impact on the lives of real people like you.
Like, are drivers required to pull over for the Ghostbusters?
Is the United Federation of Planets actually an oppressive dictatorship run by guidance counselors?
Is Arnold Schwarzenegger secretly a genius?
And are we being mean when we laugh at movies that are so bad they're good?
So write your congressman and let them know that Radio vs. the Martians is available on iTunes, Stitcher, and on radioversusthemartians.com.